The night my neighbors changed forever, it all happened when I was around 11. We lived in a quiet, small town, my parents, my little brother, and me. Across the street was my best friend, Tyler, who lived with his parents and older sister. Tyler's family was chaotic, to put it mildly. His father drank too much and argued constantly with his mother, whose mood was always on edge. His sister, deep in her teenage rebellion, locked herself in her room, blasting loud music and glaring at the world outside. But it had always been that way. Loud, messy, strangely normal. Until one night, when everything changed. On my way back, I noticed the downstairs lights on at Tyler's house. From my window, I saw Mrs. Mason in the backyard, wearing her worn robe, softly calling for their cat. The night of the screams, I woke up in the middle of the night needing to use the bathroom. It was cold and silent outside. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Then, a loud metallic crash echoed from the back of the house. A scream so raw it made my blood run cold. Then it turned into something worse, a scream of pain. I froze. Mrs. Mason hesitated, then stepped into the shadows to check. Something in my chest tightened, an instinctive dread I couldn't explain. His voice soon joined hers, desperate, terrified. And then, silence. Moments later, her scream tore through the night. Mr. Mason burst out of the front door and ran into the backyard. Tyler's room went dark, the living room, the kitchen, until only the night remained, a heavy, suffocating silence. None of the other houses lit up. No neighbors came out. It felt like only I had heard it. Mrs. Mason was watering flowers that had been dead the day before, wearing the same robe. Now spotless, Mr. Mason, the man who once spent weekends drunk on the couch, was mowing the lawn with a cheerful grin, and the daughter, the rebellious girl who had always hidden in her room, now sat on the porch in a floral dress, reading and brushing her hair. Standing frozen at my window, I watched as lights in the Mason house turned off one by one. Then, from the darkness, the living room light flicked back on. In the window stood Mrs. Mason's silhouette, completely still, staring directly at me. I couldn't see her eyes, but I felt her gaze. Terrified, I backed away, ran to bed, and hid under the covers. But even there, I could feel her watching from across the street. The perfect family morning came, and everything felt strangely calm. As we walked away, I noticed his sister and mother still standing there, watching us with those same unnatural smiles. From my window, I saw the Mason family outside. It looked almost staged. "Maybe it was a bad dream," he said. Mrs. Mason saw me watching. She waved, smiling too widely. At breakfast, I asked my parents if they'd heard anything the night before. My mother laughed it off, but my father paused and said, "You know, their house has been weird lately." They joked about how the Masons seemed perfect, but I couldn't laugh. I knew something was wrong. Then came a new fear, the feeling of something behind me in the dark. I heard the faint creak of wood, as though someone or something had stepped closer. Watching something in Tyler's eyes, and every time, one of them was there, standing motionless outside, watching. Later, Tyler came by, asking if I wanted to go to the park. At the park, we tried to play like before, but Tyler seemed distracted, glancing back toward his house. I asked if he'd noticed how strange his family was acting. He just forced a smile, shrugging it off, as if something behind his eyes was different, even if his laugh sounded the same. When I told him about the screams I'd heard, his face went blank. Even my best friend wouldn't admit something was wrong. The feeling of being watched that night, I woke again. This time, I felt something pulling me toward the window. Outside, Mr. Mason stood on the lawn, staring at my house. Panicking, I ran back to bed, hiding under the covers, heart pounding, my breath caught in my throat. I didn't dare turn around. Then I felt it, something light brushing through my hair. Overwhelmed by terror, I turned, only to find nothing. Just a spider, crawling across my pillow. Relieved yet shaken, I tried to sleep again. But deep down, I knew that Spider wasn't the real danger. Still, days passed. The Masons kept smiling. The father was always cheerful. The mother always calm. The sister always polite. At night, I kept waking, drawn to the window. No one else seemed to notice. No one else seemed to care. Even Tyler, my best friend, was slowly becoming quieter, more distant. And me, I still feel them watching, even now, years later. The memory never left, the fear never truly faded, because sometimes I wake in the dark, feel that same cold dread creeping over me, and wonder, what if my neighbors never changed back? What if they were never really my neighbors at all?